All right, let me start with this. Well, you just keep telling me what Lamar Jackson can't do, and then my eyes keep telling me that's what he is doing. I thought he couldn't throw. I thought he couldn't come from behind. So you're either in the camp that I'm in, which is the dude is special. It's not always pretty, but I love him. Or it's not going to work. So let me give you an example. Phillip Rivers has won 56% of his games. He's the worst athlete at quarterback in the NFL and has been for most of his career. He's got a decent arm, good, not special. And his judgment, not great. Led the NFL in picks twice. 56% of his games. Many of you argue for him to be in the Hall of Fame. Lamar Jackson is the single fastest athlete to ever play quarterback. Nobody looks like him. Judgment, it's actually pretty good. He doesn't make a lot of terrible throws. Now, his arm is below average, but he wins 79% of his games in a really good division. And you guys are telling me, this isn't going to work. I mean, this is not going to work. You keep telling me no, and I keep seeing yes. I'm all about special. 6 to 7 times last night, minimum. Lamar Jackson did something you cannot duplicate in the NFL. No other player can do what he can do. And I'm saying 6 or 7 times. He did 2 of them back to back. Baker Mayfield had a good night. He didn't do a single thing you couldn't duplicate, that Mahomes couldn't do, Russell couldn't do, Allen couldn't do. And Baker played well. Not a criticism. But you can duplicate that. I can find that on the market. Lamar Jackson's had back-to-back plays at one point in that game. I'm like, in the history of football, the only player that maybe could do it is Michael Vick. Maybe. Are we into special? His quarterback rating last night was 116. Now, I've heard this before. He cannot throw. No, I watch football. Tim Tebow couldn't throw. Couldn't throw. At one point, was 4th on the Denver Broncos, a first-round pick, was 4th on their quarterback depth chart. Colin Kaepernick had no touch. Swing pass, he was throwing a 99-mile-an-hour heater. I have watched Lamar Jackson go 10 for 10 against the Colts defense in the second half at Indianapolis and win. And I watched him last night. I thought he couldn't come from behind. I guess he can. They trailed. He came in. Cramps. Threw him out there. The game changed. There's also these things. You all love Dak. There's not a lot of special, but you love the intangibles. Lamar Jackson is a leader. His teammates love him. His coaches love him. He's coachable. He's not defensive about his criticisms like an Aaron Rodgers. He embraces it. I know it's not pretty. I know the slow-mo version of him throwing a football is not exactly NFL films. It's hide your eyes stuff. It's like, this is painful. And he misses some open throws. But he is so unique and so gifted at so many other things, I don't get the argument. Tebow's career passer rating was 75. Kaepernick's was in the 80s, and you defend him to the end. Lamar Jackson's career passer rating this year is 95, and you're all complaining it's an off year. It's at 95, and that division is arguably, when Joe Burrow was healthy, the best division in football. He didn't get a lot of days off. Phillip Rivers also, who some of you argue is a Hall of Famer, didn't start until 25. Lamar's 23. We're not seeing the best of Lamar. He keeps getting better and better and better. Listen, I always said this about Mike Tyson. When you're a boxer and you scare other heavyweight boxers, Tyson was totally flawed. At the end of his career, he didn't even jab. But you pay to watch Tyson. Tyson was special. Tyson scared other heavyweights. Lamar Jackson, have you ever known a pro athlete? Have you ever been around a pro athlete? I've had a few pro athlete friends, and you play a pickup game with them, and the football player among a bunch of basketball players is so much better than everybody else on the court. Much like Mike Tyson scared other heavyweights. Lamar Jackson makes other professional athletes look so stupid and so inept and so slow. You love Phillip Rivers, terrible athlete, iffy judgment, decent arm. Lamar's the best athlete in the world. He has good judgment. It looks like crap. A lot of times it looks terrible, but he's got touch. He can come from behind. I don't get it. All right, now let's address it from the Cleveland side. And it's not about Baker. Well, not really. So a lot of you are saying, well, Colin. Lamar was great and stuff, but Cleveland's defense is terrible. Yet the reasons for Cleveland's defense being inept, especially in the back seven, is that Cleveland has such a sad and embarrassing history of whiffing on quarterbacks that when John Dorsey and Cleveland drafted Baker Mayfield, a reach at number one, they created and overspent to build a fortress around him to ensure he would look okay. So when they signed this contract with OBJ, I said at the time, why? He doesn't want to be there. You're spending a fortune on Jarvis Landry. Why are you doing this? What are you doing? Last night they dropped 42 without OBJ. The offense is better without him. When they signed Austin Hooper, at the time the highest contract for a tight end, I said, I like Austin Hooper. But they had David Njoku, and they went out and drafted a tight end in the fourth round who won the award for the best tight end in the country. Why did you go have to spend for Austin Hooper? So you have OBJ and Austin Hooper. Neither played last night, and you scored 42 points. That ain't the problem. The problem is Cleveland's back seven doesn't have any players. Folks, they overspend so much on the offense. There's a salary cap in this league. The Browns spend $5.5 million on a swing tackle. He doesn't start. 5.5 on Chris Hubbard. He's a swing tackle. That's more than they pay anybody in the back seven. That's why your back seven's terrible. They pay their backup quarterback, Case Keenum, $6 million. That's more than anybody in the back seven to sit and watch the games. Cleveland's self-esteem is so low at quarterback that they've built this incredible all-star fortress of receiving and tight end and offensive line and running back talent around him to ensure, see, we told you that wasn't a reach. He's really good. And that's why you're not a Super Bowl team. Your defense in the back seven's awful. There's guys back there that are not starters in the NFL. It's awful. So it'd be one thing if it was just, like Baltimore's got a good defense, but their secondary, which is their strength, was all banged up last night. So, and you can say, but Baker looked good. You know when Baker started looking good last night? When the Baltimore secondary got hurt. When Jimmy Smith got hurt, Marcus Peters got banged up, came back, was never the same. So you can blame the Cleveland defense, but there was no reason to bring in OBJ. He didn't want to be there. You already had a star receiver. Wide receiver and weapons were not your issue. And though I like Austin Hooper, I liked him, but then you drafted another tight end and you had David Njoku and you didn't really need it, but he is good and I like him. But OBJ and Austin didn't even play last night. You dropped 42. And the reason you lost the game is because you're not spending any money on the back seven. And when you lead football games in the NFL, in the AFC, and you're going to face Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, or maybe a Derek Carr, and you lead a game and you need a stop, you ain't going to get it in that defense. So I thought Baker was fine. But I think this organization, to overcompensate for him, you can't babysit Baker. Josh Allen has an average offensive line. He still wins. Lamar Jackson has below average wide receiving talent. He's still winning. They're trying to create this perfect offense to ensure Baker works. And in the process, they've overspent at tight end. They've overspent at wide receiver. They're not even spending any money at running back right now. They're going to eventually have to pay Nick Chubb a fortune, and he's probably going to be worth it. So, this is what I always say. There are certain, cities in America, they have low sport self-esteem. And to ensure Baker isn't a bust, they've built a fortress. But that back end is a bunch of low-earning, average talent guys. Stop babysitting Baker. Nobody's got a perfect offense outside of Patrick Mahomes. Nobody's got one. He's got to at some point win games with an average O-line, with okay to below average receivers. Because Lamar Jackson did last night. He won a football game, and it's a bad receiving core. It really is a bad receiving core in Baltimore. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.